Hi guys, this is FD465.tv once more back with another video, and today we are going to dive into render network, which is the render token. And as part of that review, we are going to apply our DYO or risk evaluation, where we apply our 13 elements as normal. So what I'm going to share with you guys in this video is not financial advice. If you require financial advice, please approach someone who's trying to give you financial advice. The information contained in this video is just for educational as well as entertainment purposes. So what is render network, or what is render token as it is commonly known, ticker symbol RNDR. Render token is a distributed GPU rendering network built on top of Ethereum blockchain, aiming to connect artists and studios in need of GPU compute power with mining partners willing to rent their GPU capabilities out. The brainchild of Jules Ebach, or Ubach, I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name, Render token launched in 2017, holding various private and public token sales to raise funds to help finance the project's development. The Render network is designed to connect users looking to perform rendering jobs with people who have idle GPUs to process the renders. So what is rendering? I'm sure it is a concept that you do not find in normal day speech or normal day-to-day life. Rendering, also called image synthesis, transforms a 2D or 3D computer model into a photorealistic image or scene, occurring in the background of many of the processes in our daily lives full of technology. Rendering is how smartphones and computers constantly present the images, videos, games, and many other applications that make our lives easier or more enjoyable. A rendering can be as simple as a scene in a 2D Batman cartoon, or as complex as an action-packed scene in a Transformers movie. Advances are accelerating from the era of Ratatouille just a decade ago. Ratatouille, one of my favorite animated movies. Anyway, advances are accelerating from the era of Ratatouille just a decade ago, when every animated frame took 6.5 hours to render, to the instant real-time Otoy rendering of photorealistic scenes on tens of thousands of parallel GPUs in the cloud today. So why render on render network or render token? Well, because the future is being built today, and the hardware limitation should not be what keeps you from being a part of the new digital renaissance. Render puts the power of GPU rendering at your fingertips at a fraction of the cost and speed of in-house rendering. Render token makes the process of rendering and streaming intricate virtual works easier for all users. It also allows for complex GPU-based render jobs to be distributed and processed on a peer-to-peer network. The render network creates a much more efficient, powerful, and widely scalable rendering network. And let's not forget Ethereum's widespread adoption, which proved the key for the render team. Instead of GPUs being used to only mine currencies, render uses their intrinsic function to render and leverage the features of the blockchain, which are the network effects, incentives, and trust. So how does the render network operate? Well, owners of idle GPUs connect their GPUs to the render network to become node operators in order to receive and complete rendering jobs using Octane Render. Users then send the render token, ticker symbol RNDR, to the individual performing the render work, and Otoy, OTOY, the company maintaining the render network, then receives a small percentage of the render token for facilitating the transaction and running the render network. Artists on the render network use the render utility token to exchange for GPU compute power from GPU providers, also known as node operators. Render utilizes a combination of manual and automatic proof of work system, or in this case, proof of render, in order to verify all art has been successfully rendered prior to payment dispersal and art release. Utilizing the inherent security properties of Ethereum blockchain, proprietary assets are hashed upon upload and sent to nodes piecemeal for rendering. All render payments are stored in escrow during rendering and are released to node operators upon manual verification of the commissioning artist of successful work. To prevent malicious actors in both user bases, all assets rendered on the network are watermarked until payment is successfully disbursed, upon which time unwatermarked renderings may be downloaded and all payment is held in escrow until manually verified as being correctly rendered. Other use cases include, within the media industry, industrial rendering requirements, augmented reality, mixed reality, gaming, medical applications, as well as virtual reality. Now, as part of our DYO, our risk evaluation, we are going to apply our usual 13 elements, and those 13 elements are as follows. You got decentralization, security, scaling, interoperability, project team, social media presence via Twitter as well as via Discord, project use cases, as well as the tokenomics. Under tokenomics, we've got 4 key areas that we'll look into. Now, let's give a brief overview of each of those 13 elements. Under decentralization, the distributed rendering model being offered by Render Token is compelling because millions of developers who have Otoy Otoi's Octane Render, which is the software from Otoi, available to them, render scenes regularly on their GPUs. However, the current system is extremely inefficient. Most developers' GPUs remain idle when they are not rendering their own work. By utilizing the render token network ecosystem, developers could choose to monetize their idle GPUs by performing renders in exchange for render tokens, which could then be converted into crypto or fiat currency. Anyone with rendering requirements simply need to hold some render tokens in order to settle the bill, so to speak, once their job has been rendered successfully. As far as security is concerned, users seeking rendering services are protected from malicious players or renderers who may decide to provide subpar services or inferior services. This is done through what is known as proof of render. The system will process the transaction only when the job is completed as outlined in the initial transaction via smart contract. Now, on to scaling. Most developers' GPUs remain idle when they are not rendering their own work. By utilizing the render token network system, developers could choose to monetize their idle GPUs by performing renders in exchange for render tokens, which could then be converted into crypto or fiat currency. Therefore, the more GPUs join the network, the more GPU capacity available to deal with any level of demand on the upside. Render network or render token is also implemented a proof of stake Ethereum Polygon bridge to move all transactions off-chain, lowering gas fees and transaction time dramatically. All transactions between Matic and Ethereum are validated by a robust system of external validators, which reduce deposits and withdrawal time to less than 30 minutes. 30 minutes is still a long time to wait, but there you go. Now on to interoperability. While the render token resides on the Ethereum blockchain, the user processing a job utilizes their GPU to perform the tasks requested, and once complete, sends the completed tasks or task back to the render network. Once completed and reconciled, the render tokens are then transferred from the user who has requested the task to the user or server that completed the task via smart contract. As far as the project team is concerned, backed by parent company Otoi, OTOY, the render team is based out of Los Angeles with team members throughout the world. Now, considering what's been happening in the States with regard to the treatment of anything connected to cryptocurrencies or crypto, I'm not sure this is the place to be right now. I mean, the US, again, I don't know where they could go. Reside in the US, where are you expected to go? You expect your government and all the authorities within that state to behave in a conducive manner to provide an environment where businesses can flourish. At the moment, I think this subject around cryptocurrency is highly politicized and there's too much heat inside it. I'm sure someone will figure that out. The core team consists of 12 members, and Render has got 8 advisors who are mostly some of the well-known personalities from across the crypto space, and then there is a community-rich team of 3. So in total, we are talking of approximately 23, and add to that foundation members, and who knows how many there are. I have no idea. Social media presence. On Twitter, Render has got just over 82,400 Twitter followers, and on Discord, just over 3,200 Discord members. But I'm not even sure if this is the official Render Discord server, because Render appears does not have any Discord link either on its Twitter profile or via its website. Now on to tokenomics. Ticker symbol RNDR. Total supply 536,870,912 Render tokens. Circulating supply 67%, or just over 361.445 million Render tokens in circulation, equivalent to 67%. Token distribution. 25% were sold via different channels, public and private sales. 10% of the Render token are in reserve, and 65% are held in escrow for supply and demand flow back to the network, and I believe these are held in a third-party escrow wallet. How secure that is, I have no idea. So inside the token allocation, according to Render's own breakdown, this one looks like there is no community allocation whatsoever, with insiders retaining 100% of the Render tokens available, which is not always ideal, but it's what it is, right? If you are an investor, you were expected to go and buy that on the open market. If they did some airdrops and so forth, that information is not readily available. So if anyone from the Render team watches our network, please go work something out around token allocation and distribution. At the moment, it's still cloudy, it's muddy, it's not as clear. Anyway, as a final note, before we jump to the scores we are going to allocate to Render token as part of our DYOR risk evaluation, one of the key things to consider is how Otoi, the company behind the Render token development, a traditional business whose business model involved the offering of cloud-based solutions, now pivoting over to decentralized peer-to-peer solutions through Render token. Guys, this is the future in my opinion. Those failing to notice this and considering their options accordingly will be the Kodaks of tomorrow. We know how Kodak ended. If they are still there, they are a figment of their past selves. Innovations don't owe anyone a favor. Now, let's go on to our DYOR risk evaluation. A quick rundown of the 13 elements as follows: decentralization, security, scaling, interoperability, the project team, social media presence via Twitter, as well as social media presence via Discord. We then look at the age of project, use cases, both for the utility token as well as the fundamental use cases. What about the tokens issued at project launch, tokens in circulation at the point at which we recorded this video, maximum tokens available before we jump into the token distribution and or allocation. Once we have allocated the scores from 0 to 10, 10 being the best or maximum, 0 being the minimum or the worst, we aggregate the total scores, and it is that total score that we are going to take and place under the following risk categories. We've got 4 of them in total. The least risk category, where the risk is at a minimum, we call that go for it category, and the project will have scored between 109 and 130 out of 130. The one below that or the one above that, where the risk is slightly increased, a project will have scored 90 to 109 points out of 130, and we call that potential category. Third level up, where the risk is slightly higher than the 2 below it, we call that could go to 0 category, and the project will have scored 65 to 89 points out of 130. The highest risk according to our own assessment, we call that no-go category, and the project will have scored 0 to 64 points out of 130. That is the highest risk category. So here are some of the scores we've allocated to render token. Decentralization, 2.5 points out of 10. On security, 7.5 points out of 10. On scaling, 7.5 points out of 10. Interoperability, 7.5 points out of 10. Project team, 7.5 points out of 10. Social media presence via Twitter, 7.5 points out of 10. Social media presence via Discord, 2.5 points out of 10. Age of the project, 7.5 points out of 10. Project use cases, I believe Render has got use cases in bucket loads. Therefore, we are going to give Render token 10 points out of 10. Tokens issued at project launch, 5 points out of 10. Tokens in circulation at the point at which we are doing this video, 5 points out of 10. Maximum tokens available, 5 points out of 10. Insider token allocation, as I've already said, it's according to our own analysis, 100% retained by insiders. Therefore, we are going to give Render 0 points out of 10. Do you guys agree with the scores we've allocated to Render token? Let us know in the comment section. If you were to issue scores to Render in accordance with the 13 elements that are part of our DYOR toolkit, what scores would you give on each of the 13 elements as highlighted within this video? Let us know again in the comment section. As far as I'm concerned, currently I do not hold any Render tokens, but it is a project that interests me very much, and I would at some point want to consider it to be part of our public portfolio. Being an Ethereum based project, it will be within the Ethereum basket, which means it will be part of our 15k to 600k portfolio channel, one of our public portfolios. Anyway, the aggregate total for Render network is 75 points out of 130, which puts Render within the could go to 0 category. Just like many of the decent projects we've reviewed using our DYOR toolkit, Render network could go to 0, but so could most crypto projects. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comment section. Do you agree that Render could go to 0? Again, let us know in the comment section. Until next time, guys, this is FD465.tv bringing you a brief review of Render token or Render network. Until next time, bye for now.